So in the retreats, I say to people, "Hello, you wretched disciples," and they say, "Hello, beloved and wise old master."
Then what happens?
Oh, well, it's all downhill from there.
So I can't touch your feet.
Downhill, you mean you downhill, you mean you become a wretched teacher then? What?
Not at all.
No?
No.
Still staying.
It's all
Still
pretend.
staying beloved.
It's just all pretense, really.
Yeah.
I'm only here for the money. So, apparently, all there is what's happening. That's all there is. There's nothing else, there's just what seems to be happening. And what seems to be happening is simply energy, in any form, every form. The sky, movement, thought, feelings, whatever. That's all there is. It's as simple as that. But that energy is boundless and free, and it can also be limited. Because it's free, it can be limited as well. It can be anything. And when the human child is born, after a little while, after birth, what seems to take place is a sudden feeling of a centre in the body. After about a year of absolutely free-floating, wild, crazy, amazing, unpredictable, boundless energy, there's suddenly a feeling of something entering the body. That's the feeling. It's like a contracted energy. So there is a centre. Self-awareness arises, self-consciousness. The consciousness of a self arises in the child. And as it grows up, that develops and becomes real for the child. Because it also meets other people who have taken on the same energy. They're all, the people that he meets, his mother and father and everyone else, they're all convinced they are real people, real individuals. And so it grows up in that world and learns how to deal with that world as best it can. But somewhere there's something dissatisfying about living in that centre in here that seems to be separate to everything else that's happening. So everything else is happening, but it's happening to me. So the child really has entered what I call the me world. It's the I am world. I am real. The world is real. I have a story. I was born, I'm living, and I will die. And that story is real, and it must have real meaning and purpose to it. And that's how people live generally. That's normal. Well, we're suggesting here that that's all what people call normal living as real people. That's all, as far as we're concerned, illusory. It's what arises as an illusion, being a real person, living in a real world, having real free will and choice. We see that what's seen here, what's being suggested, is that when it's looked at, even in an understanding way, when it's looked at from a totally different and unpredictable perspective, it's possible that the whole belief system about the way we are and the way the world is that we live in can unravel. But that's only a fairly superficial happening. It can happen and does happen. What else is happening is energetic. As I said at the beginning, there's boundless energy, and then it apparently, only apparently, I have to emphasise, becomes contracted. And it's possible when people are gathered together and there's an openness to something that's beyond self-seeking, it's possible that that contracted energy that seems fixed in there and somehow invested in the story of me, it's possible that that energy can unravel and melt into the whole. So we can talk together about what me thinks life is about and what me thinks it itself is about. We can talk about the possibility that the me is really actually looking for fulfillment, a total fulfillment. But because it has grown up in a dualistic world where everything is subject, object, then it has turned the idea of self-fulfillment into something it can obtain through effort, through a path. So what will also possibly come up is the utter and complete and wonderful futility of all seeking. And the whole idea that in some way or other this apparent individual that's taken form can find fulfillment. So what possibly can happen in an opening to this sort of message is that the whole consolidation of the individual can, as I say, unravel. And in the end, it's quite possible that all there will be left is absolutely nothing at all. And when there's nothing at all left, then everything feels like nothingness. Everything is that nothing.
When the glimpses take place, and
When liberation takes.
sorry,
Did you say when liberation takes place?
no, glimpses.
Oh, glimpses.
When the glimpses take place and there's that stuckness in the middle of meaning and being, and you mentioned that the me doesn't want to hear this message. Yeah, I'm sitting here and
Well, yeah.
apparently, sorry. The apparent me, there is something arising going that I do want to hear this message, and I'm here for the meaning to go away, so there's just being. What is saying that? Is that still a subtle?
Me is saying he wants to go away because it's based on the misapprehension that there is a me to go away. There's no such thing as liberation, there's no such thing as me or contracted energy. All of that was just being talked about is simply a picture. But actually, fundamentally, there's no such thing as a me seeking or liberation. There is only what is apparently happening, which is nothing and everything, and it's unknowable. But the me comes to these meetings with the idea of getting something called not being me. It has no idea what that means, and if it did know, it would run a mile and go to the nearest teacher who would still maintain the structure of me or the belief in me. So that's what's going on. Me doesn't want to hear this. Me has to reject this message because this message is about the death of me. So what else can it do but reject? But the strange thing is that something else can happen here which has absolutely nothing to do with me.
So the meaning, it's just
Me's just
by
me's a bit of spare energy that floats around and makes a bloody nuisance of it. And pretends to be a seeker looking.
There's just constant being.
Yeah.
But although you're allowing us to talk about meaning and being, you don't really believe in being anyway, do you?
I don't believe in anything.
I know.
And I'm certainly not allowing anything. How would I have the arrogance to allow anything? I did say right at the beginning of this, all there is what is apparently happening. So there isn't anyone here that has any intention or agenda about this today. It's just another thing that's happening.
I had the misfortune to read from Baba Muktananda, and he wasn't speaking in English, so it was translated, and he didn't use meaning and being, but he sort of said if 50% of the time there's being, then yeah, you can say that's enlightenment.
Is he a teacher?
Oh, very much so. And if you were a teacher, my God, it wouldn't be 15 quid, would it? It'd be 1,500 at least.
This is not a teaching.
Good job.
This is an illumination.
Good job.
There isn't a teacher and there's no one to teach.
Or you wouldn't sit there unless we gave you loads of Rolls Royces. So. No, but when you hear these Eastern philosophy things, it's...
Well, that's about getting something. That has an aim and intention.
Or that meaning and being, as long as it's 50% being, you're all right.
Well, I don't understand any of that. Sorry, I don't get it.
No, it got me, that's all. It got on me, that statement. Just for a bit, and then I came here.
Oh, well.
Well, I thought I did.
Yeah.
Certainly the underground wanted to be paid.
Tony, what about in the case
Where
of...
are you?
What about in the case of
What
animals?
about?
In the case of animals, are they also...
No, everything is being except human beings. Human beings have the sophisticated enough brain to develop and abstract a sense of individuality. Nothing else does. Everything else is happily being. Human individual is rushing around seeking what everything else is, pure being, because it's lost it, seems to have lost something, so it's chasing around, looking for something it thinks it's lost. And the joke of all of that is that everything that is happening is what it seeks. But it thinks that it's turned what it's lost into something that it can have for itself as some sort of goal which will transform its experience. It's the individual essentially lives in self-experience, so it's always constantly looking for better and better experiences. And if it hears of something like liberation, it mistakenly thinks that liberation is some sort of really good personal experience of resistance. So I've forgotten what your question.
Animals.
Oh, I don't know. Everything else doesn't seek anything that's already whole.
No, I'm saying, what about the me within the animals?
No, animals don't have a sophisticated enough brain to construct an artificial sense of person. They simply are being. They don't have any idea of being a separate individual.
Right, okay. So what about in the case of,
About?
a feral child raised by...
Well, I don't know much. I've never met a feral child. I have no idea. All that brings the seeking about is a sense of being separate. Whether a feral child does that or not, I don't know. Apparently separate.
Apparently.
Tony, you just spoke now about the arrogance of the me of allowing things to happen. So me is arrogant enough to think that allows things to happen or not allows?
No.
No?
I don't know. How can I? I'm not here. I'm no one.
No,
Neither do you.
Me and like the me.
The me believes
Yes.
it allows things, and that's again completely erroneous. Actually, the me doesn't actually do anything, but contracted energy produces out of contracted energy come all sorts of things. But the me then claims to be theirs. This is me writing this music or playing this song or asking this question or seeking enlightenment. I'm doing this. Me doesn't do anything at all. It's just a name.
The me cannot accept or not accept.
No. Me can't do anything. It's completely and utterly, divinely helpless.
So now that you were just an observer,
No, observation is something that only happens in the story. In the story of the observation, witnessing, awareness, consciousness of a form of knowing in the dream of me. I know I am me. I know I'm sitting on a seat. So if I know I'm sitting on a seat, I'm separate from what is actually happening. What is actually apparently happening is sitting on a seat. There isn't anybody doing that, but the me, all the time, the me is conscious. It knows and is aware of what seems to be happening, and that's what keeps it separate. Awareness keeps the me separate.
So what about in your own state?
There is no, there's no yaw.
There's no...
There's no the yaw there,
Okay.
actually, but there is no yaw. There isn't anyone. It just is what's happening.
Okay. So in whatever is happening, when you go to sleep, what happens?
I don't go to sleep, but sleeping happens.
When sleeping comes.
You don't go to sleep, sleeping happens, but you might wake up the next morning and say to your wife or something, I went to sleep, it was my choice to go to sleep. That doesn't happen here anymore. This has no choice, this isn't anything. It just is everything. And there's nothing that knows the everything, there just is everything. There's everything there. What you seek is everything, but you turn the everything into a something you can have. That's what making all seeking path-orientated processes completely and utterly futile. There's nothing to find. This is it, man.
If the me can't do anything to help get liberation, then liberation is then just luck of the draw. Really.
No, I did say we didn't want to hear it, maybe. There's no such thing as liberation. There's nothing to be liberated. The problem for the me is that it feels imprisoned, and therefore it seeks something called liberation. But it seeks it for itself, and it can never find it, because the me is that which is living in this contracted energy and makes what it longs for into another something it can have. It lives in a polarized world. I am here, and everything else is another something out there that I can have or not have. So let's repeat again. Me is looking only for a better experience. That might be being very rich, having lots of lovers, or being in love. None of those things are actually available, and they don't satisfy anything for very long. The lovers takes a little while.
So even if the me hears there's nothing to be done because you're already at, even if you then say, right, I'm going to stop, that's still doing something.
Yeah, that's another process called stopping seeking. I'm going to stop seeking. There's a guy in Vienna who is an apparent master, and he teaches people to sit down and not intend to sit down. And then he takes them out for walks, and they have to walk without intending to walk. It's wonderful bullshit. You can't, there's nothing that can be done. Not only is there nothing that can be done, there's nothing that needs to be done, because already this is wholeness. This is wholeness. Where are you going to look for it if it's everything? Where are you going to go outside everything to look for it?
So don't do anything and don't not do anything.
No. This is not about seeking or not seeking. It's exposing the whole ridiculousness of thinking there's either.
So it's just pointing out what we're not, essentially.
Well, it's pointing out what, it's illuminating what is, which then exposes the way that the individual turns it into a process and a story. For the individual, seeking is a story. There's no story, there's no time, no real time, there's only apparent time. So there's nowhere to go to find that which already is. You're sitting on it, you're breathing it, you're seeing it, you're hearing it, you're thinking it. What you long for is constantly already what is. So where would you go to Where else would you go? Would you like to go and find a better audience somewhere? That's some people.
So the separation is maintained by words, by stories. Separation is maintained by using words.
Yeah, by being aware.
Stories. Basically, when the words come in, the separation comes in. Is it?
Well, words are only a confirmation of separation.
Yeah.
When there's no longer anything separate, words are just vehicles for communicating. They don't necessarily emphasise separation anymore because there is no such thing. No, it's contracted energy. Child is born, within the first year or so, a sense of contracted energy enters its body and makes it feel as though it is a real person, and that's when seeking starts. The moment the human being or the body of the child becomes a human being, self-conscious, that's when the clock starts ticking. It's the beginning of history.
It has nothing to do with actually words. The child will learn mummy, daddy, and associated with the separate being, mummy and daddy and whatever.
No,
Nothing to do
whatever
with that.
happens to it goes on reinforcing the sense of being an individual.
Here is still the experience of I thinking, I suffer, and there's nothing that can be done about it.
There is no one. It isn't. It's far worse than nothing can be done about it. Because if I said to you, you can't do anything about it, that would be confirming that there is somebody really there called you. There isn't. There is nothing. There is no one. There is nothing that can be done, and there's nothing that needs to be done because already this is whole. Now those are just words to you. It's just a concept that this is wholeness, so there's no need to seek anything. But there's something else that's going on here that's beyond words.
And nothing is thinking. For instance, if it's a negative or positive thought, it's nothing thinking it. It's not me.
Well, nothing is the source of everything. There is only nothing that is the source of everything. So whatever you're looking at or hearing is nothing appearing to be something. It's an appearance. This is an appearance of nothing. And so any idea that the sense of individuality can get somewhere with that nothing is ridiculous. It can't happen.
And the me makes everything positive and negative. There is no...
It doesn't matter whether it's in the dualistic world only. In the dualistic world only, there is negative and positive in that sense, or good and bad, better and worse, inner and outer. That's a story. That's what makes the story of apparent polarity in everything. When that whole sense of polarity dies with the me dying, then there's nothing that's good, there's nothing that's bad. There is only what appears to be happening.
What appears to be happening now, it's also me wanting to change all this.
That's all right, that's what's happening. Hard luck. And also what's happening is the frustration of not being able to do it.
Yes.
And also what's happening is possibly hearing that that's not the answer. And also what's happening is the absolute rejection of the idea that you can't do anything about it because you really want to do something about it. Oh.
You're talking about the baby is really beautiful because a baby definitely cries and expresses distress, which
Well, it's not.
One could say that's contracted.
No,
because it's not.
A tiny child doesn't express its anger. There's just anger being expressed.
Right.
There isn't an it that has anger.
No.
There's just absolute response out of nothing.
So
then after about a year or two, the child, the individual takes form in the child, and then it starts to express its anger, my anger.
So the whole idea of contracted energy, I have to say, some of these ideas that stick around here, about pain and distress, got absolutely nothing to do with contraction or
Well,
expansion
it
or
has.
anything.
Yes, it is. Contraction
But the
energy.
sorry.
It's contraction energy arising as anger or distress, but all the time there's a me there. The me claims the anger. This is my anger, this is my suffering, this is my joy, this is my happiness. It's all claimed by the individual because the individual thinks it owns whatever's happening. When that vanishes, there is just suffering, anger, joy, all those things. For no one.
No one cracked.
For no one.
No one.
It's just, it's what's apparently happening.
So,
And it has no meaning or purpose of any kind.
so one can totally forget any
No, you
definition.
can't.
You
The
can
me
forget.
can't. The me loves definition.
Yeah.
If there's any kind of noticing of joy or sadness, is that necessarily the me noticing it?
Noticing is the same as observing.
As
There's still something standing outside, noticing or observing happiness or
So
whatever.
it's necessarily the me.
Of course it's separate, yes.
Everything can't notice
No.
anything.
There is no separation.
There's
If there's happiness,
self-conscious.
if there's happiness, there's just happiness. And there's an individual who now experiences or is aware of happiness and is therefore separate from happiness.
Right. Right. So in a way, yeah. So
That's the dilemma
yeah.
for the individual. The individual can't be happy because it thinks it knows happiness.
You talk about big wow and little becoming a little wow. If that were noticed, then isn't that the me noticing the big
No,
wow?
there isn't. Well, that's a description after the me gives to what we call a glimpse. So the individual is there in its experience of the world and its observation of the world. Suddenly there is only nothing, which can't be described, and there's no individual experiencing nothing. There's just nothing. Then the individual comes out of the other side, again as an individual, and says, wow!
Right.
Because the initial glimpse, by contrast to the life that is being led by dusty little old me, is absolutely amazing, but only recognised as amazing when the individual's back. There's no one in the glimpse. There's someone after trying to remember it.
So when the me finally does collapse definitively, there wouldn't be an awareness of any wow or no wow.
No, not,
Just carry on
not
with life
at all,
as
no.
happening.
It's just a description. So it would be huge wow, and then it becomes more gentle, because, it wouldn't be living around, walking around in a spiritual orgasm all day. It's very tiring.
No, yeah, I know. Yeah.
But it kind of seems like that at the time, doesn't it? When the me falls away and the oneness seems to appear, it's that wow, it is.
Yeah. It's not important, really. But
what we are discussing right now here, I think, in my opinion, it's the highest knowledge that intellect, mind cannot grasp it. What we are discussing is still on a very intellectual level, than what I feel. I think people trying to feel it, experience, but mind doesn't allow it, will never
No,
get it.
you can't.
Only, I think, maybe you agree, and maybe you would emphasize that it comes only during the deep samadhi, deep meditations.
not
Because that's what masters are teaching us.
absolutely. This is absolutely saying exactly the opposite. This is all there is already. It's got nothing to do with any sort of man-made meditation or even some spiritual
But what is
idea.
meditation?
Or a spiritual idea, there's some sort of meditation that can bring this about. Because directly there's an intention to bring this about, it can't appear because there's something looking for it. So something looking for it, by doing any sort of meditation, is actually saying, what I'm looking for is a something. It isn't a something, it is this already. There's no, the whole idea of meditating in order to find it pushes it away.
Or if you take it as a meditation doing nothing and just to feel, to reside in yourself, then it comes as an experiential, like, I am nothing, or it is happening. That's what is happening, for example, in my experience in meditation. Yeah. But when mind comes and tries to interpret what is really happening, then that's life, that's intellect already, trying to...
So don't forget, everything that's going on here is not only intellect. We are exchanging ideas here and understanding maybe a different view of those ideas, but anyone who believes that it's possible in some way or other to not do anything, or as you say, somehow not look for anything and be open to emptiness, is still in the dream. Because what the dream says is that the individual can choose to be in emptiness without making the effort to do anything. That, as far as I'm concerned, is a complete and wonderful illusion that keeps all the teachers of meditation in the world going, and all the students who want to meditate. It feeds them with something to do, not being. I'm sorry, it's a complete contradiction. The whole effort of me is to lose itself, but it never can, because there are two reasons. One is that it longs to lose itself. The other thing is it's more afraid of losing itself than anything else. So the whole idea that it can bring about some sort of effort of not being or not doing anything is ludicrous, because the individual is only a doing energy. It can only be that because it feels it's lost. So it's constantly moving forward to find something.
Do you feel that life is a combination of grace and self-effort? Self-effort.
No. That describes the me very well. I don't think that is the experience of the me. To make an effort to find a better experience. All the me can do is look for a better experience. So what's being described here is the possibility that there is no one, there is only what is and what is not, which can't be known or described or experienced.
How do you experience it then?
Sorry?
How do you experience it then? It's like...
How do you
experience it?
No, you absolutely don't. That's I think you're not really hearing what's being said here. What's being said here, this is absolutely beyond any sort of self-experience. It's absolutely beyond the capability of me to comprehend or know what this is about.
Yes.
So I don't quite understand how, if you're hearing this, how you can then argue that the me can bring this about by being nothing or whatever.
No one is saying that.
Right? Oh, well, I have that.
No. I'm not arguing. I'm just trying to, because people are asking questions as well, and I feel like it's just through intellect.
Oh, well, hold on. People are asking. We did say that we would share ideas together. That's just intellectual. It's just people experiencing their and sharing their experience of what it's like to be in me. There's a response here pointing out that all of that experience is a structure in a contracted energy, and in some way or other there's something else that's absolutely beyond that contracted energy. So don't try and say that all that's happening here is intellectual, because if you feel it is, then there's something that isn't sensitive to what else is going on here. This isn't just an exchange of ideas. That's part of it, but that's a vehicle for something else to happen.
Can I just ask, is this contraction of energy illusory as well? The contraction of energy is illusory.
Well, yeah, what's illusory is that the individual, when it becomes contracted, feels that it's an individual, and the illusion is that it feels that that individuality is real.
Yes, but
I am a real person. So it enters something called the dream of me.
Yeah. But the contraction is also illusory.
Well, there isn't anything that's real. Contraction and the boundless energy is again an appearance of nothing. everything is no thing, but can appear as an energy which takes the form of this room, bodies in this room, and can also only appear as a contracted energy.
So it's both or nothing.
Yeah.
So, essentially, what you describe as the me is...
Sorry?
What you describe as me is essentially the mind, which is like a film library.
Well, the mind is...
Lots of tiny...
I don't know what people mean by the mind,
Okay.
but out of the contracted sense of being an individual, grow a whole lot of belief systems about the individual.
Yeah.
What it is like and how it relates to the world it lives in. And it also has all sorts of fixed ideas, or ideas anyway, about the world being real as well.
Yeah.
What's happening is an illumination that possibly of that whole idea of me being real and the world being real is illusory.
Yeah, but what I'm taking from you is that essentially it's like a movie library with lots of little snippets of,
That's one way of describing
yeah,
it.
movies, right? Exactly. So
One way of
it's
describing
it's an illusion. So
the illusion is that this is real.
Yeah, I understand that. Yeah, which is
And
why
it has meaning and purpose.
yeah, which is why I called it like a movie, like a library of movies. So
If you want to call it that.
yeah, so then who's the viewer? Who's the viewer?
Well, in this case of me, the me is the viewer.
The me is the viewer.
In the case of the individual has awareness
Right.
and consciousness of what
And
it
that's
sees
me.
as a movie.
That me, the viewer, is the consciousness.
Sorry?
The me, the viewer, is consciousness.
Yeah,
Okay.
which keeps it separate.
Right.
So it's watching a horse run along the beach,
Okay.
and it keeps separate from the horse running across the beach by being aware of that.
Okay. And what you're saying is that only consciousness exists. Only consciousness exists.
Well, consciousness
The
and
movie can
awareness
exist.
and knowing are all the same word as far as I'm concerned. If you look up the meaning of the word consciousness or awareness, you'll see that they point to the sense of knowing. So the individual lives in what it thinks is a known world. I know you're sitting there. I know I'm a real person standing here. This is the dream of individuality. It keeps the individual in the separate spirit.
Right. Which is the reason why you talk about non-duality, which means that the consciousness that I experience is essentially the same consciousness that you experience as well.
No, absolutely not. No,
Okay.
consciousness you experience is essentially only a dreamt consciousness.
It's a dreamt
energy that keeps you separate.
Right.
When you suddenly collapse or fall away or are no more, but only apparently, you never were before,
Okay.
that's the end of consciousness.
Okay.
It's part of the dream.
Right. Okay. So consciousness gets born and consciousness dies.
Well, consciousness, like everything else, arises, but only essentially in contracted energy. That's all it is. Just it is no thing
Right.
arising as apparent contracted energy,
And it
which
dissipates.
brings with it awareness of
And
consciousness.
it dissipates afterwards. It dissipates afterwards.
Well, it doesn't dissipate because it was never there.
It was never there.
Don't forget, the me
Okay.
doesn't collapse really because it isn't real.
Okay.
The problem for the individual
So the
is that it
consciousness
thinks
isn't
it's
there.
going to wait
Okay.
for something to happen one day when it isn't there anymore.
Okay.
And that keeps it going, keeps it in the waiting room
Yeah.
of life.
Okay.
Actually, there's no such thing as something as liberation or suddenly somebody losing their me, because there is no me to lose. It's an illusion. It's not real, it's an appearance.
Okay. So
Everything is only an appearance.
right.
And that.
So if you only appeared to come here today, why did you put on this lovely waistcoat?
I don't really know. Putting on my waistcoat happened. I don't do anything. There isn't anyone here. There isn't anyone here who does anything. It's what happened. You didn't come here, actually. You're here and you're sitting there. But actually, all of that happened beyond, absolutely beyond your choice. There's no choice.
Okay.
I'm glad you like this voice.
And I'm also glad that the pink and white striped shirt pattern.
That's Claire, you see. She,
And
weren't Claire, you wouldn't recognise me.
She holds all this illusion together.
So there's no karma.
Sorry?
There's no karma.
No.
There's
Except in the dream of...
no past lives.
No. There's nothing but what is. The idea of there being karma, past life... It's the teacher wanting to build a story. All of those ideas are coming out of the me wanting a story.
So there isn't anything to do to...
There isn't anyone. All there is what is.
The suffering that you experience.
Why would you need to go anywhere to find someone? Look.
So the suffering that you might
It's the end.
experience is
It's
nothing.
the end of something that never began.
Yes, but the eye cannot see that this is all there is.
No, I cannot.
The me cannot see that this is all there is. There's always
No, not at all.
in the future.
No, the eye can only see what it experiences. The eye would see this as lots of somethings. There's lots of something sitting here in a something called a room. There aren't any something, there's only an appearance. That's an appearance. This is an appearance. It's not a something, it isn't anyone.
Because the me now thinks the next retreat, so it's always now in the
Yeah.
future, something better when
It can only live in what will, it can't possibly comprehend what is.
cannot see this. The me
Well, this can't be seen anyway. What is can't be seen. It simply is already. There isn't anything that can see it. Otherwise you'd have a seer, a perceiver. You're back in the story. I perceive she's sitting there. That's the story. I am here and she's sitting over there. I'm separate from her. That's the dream story. It's an illusion. But it makes such unhappiness, such a sense of loss. I've lost her if I put her over there. She is this, I am this. That's all there is.
But isn't there one perceiver?
No, there's no perceiver at all. There are no perceivers, there are no experiencers except in the dream.
Except in the dream of me. So, what is dreaming and who is dreaming?
The me is dreaming that it is real. What it sees over there is another real something. That is nothing arising. There's nothing wrong with it, but it's what happens out of nothing.
In order for me to dream, it must exist.
Sorry? Oh yeah, but of course in the dream it has to be real, and that's the great dilemma.
Yeah.
Because
So then
the
me
dilemma,
exists.
you know it, man. So the dilemma is, for me to exist, it has to believe it's real, and that you're real as well. And the separation between us is real.
Therefore, me exists.
No, for the individual, the me is what seems to appear to be a separate something. So that's a separate something.
The probably sort of levels of contraction, right? There's sort of deeply contracted, and there's almost being, right? In terms of there must be like levels of contraction.
Love.
Levels.
Oh, levels.
So you've got sort of deeply
I
contracted.
don't think that matters. I don't think I'm interested in levels. Either there's separation or there isn't.
Oh, it's as simple as that for you, even though you might, be feel very, very separate, and then there's a loosening of that.
Doesn't matter how, but it doesn't matter how little separate you feel, how tiny separate you feel. It's separate. It's separate.
Okay. But nevertheless, is there any?
No.
Is there any correlation between that, what I'm sort of alluding to, and being in one's head? You know,
No, they're the same thing. The me lives in its head largely.
Okay.
Although when I was a me, I was definitely living down there. There was definitely something going on down there. But basically, it sort of communicates from what it understands or experiences.
Tony, how can this message resonate with me?
No, it can't.
But I can't understand it.
No. It resonates with something else, in a sense, because really all I'm doing is reminding you of the innocence that was there when you were born. We're actually trying to regain our innocence, our wonder, not ours really, but the wonder of being. So when the child is born, there's a wonder of being. There's no one that knows it or experiences it. And then suddenly after a year, it experiences becoming a person who then spends the rest of his life looking for the wonder of being and can never find it because he's turned the wonder of being into something I can have.
What is it?
It can't be had because there isn't anyone. There isn't anyone to have it, and it's not something that you can have. It already is this.
But it resonates with something?
Well, not anything to do with me. Me hates the sight of it. And we'll go on questioning and arguing it until they're blue in the face.
Because this me says, oh, I can get that we don't have free will because I've seen the experience.
Those are ideas.
Yeah, so there's all these bits that I can say, yes, I understand this and this about the message. But then I do have periods of going, oh shit, if this happens then there's no me. And then I think maybe I should just take the pedal off my foot off the pedal. But then it's like I can't do anything anyway.
No, it wouldn't matter anyway, because essentially, as I did say, and I keep on trying to confirm, this is not about ideas or concepts or intellectual constructs. This is essentially about energy. All that's happening in the exchange of most of these ideas is that the fixed idea me has about itself can unravel a bit and not feel so solid and real. That's all that's happening in words. There's something else going on here, which is energetic and beyond that. But nobody's doing it. It's not anybody's what's going on here energetically. It's not anybody's energy, it just is energy.
So the resonating happens to an energy.
Yeah.
Tony, from your first glimpse of this reality to total liberation, what was the time scale? I know it's...
It doesn't matter. That's totally irrelevant.
Yeah.
If you think that the time scale here was so long, then you'll say, oh, well, I had it in November 90, so I've only got to wait. Forget it. It's timeless. What we're talking about here is absolutely timeless.
So Tony, you're saying that there's no truth, there's only illusion.
Sorry?
You're saying that there's no truth, there's only...
Oh, of course not. No, there is no truth. All there is what is, and is not.
Yeah, so all there is illusion.
All there is...
Is illusion.
No, all there is appearance. The illusion is that the appearance is real. That's the only illusion. the appearance is real. I am real.
So what is real?
The walls are real.
So
No,
what is it?
in the dream of me, the walls are real. And the freedom of there being no one,
Yeah, I
the
understand that.
walls are obviously nothing.
Yeah.
They
So
are
then,
nothing falling.
what is real?
They're nothing.
Nothing's real.
When you say nothing is real, you mean nothing like everything?
Let me be clear about this, there may not, I've never given. Nothing is everything.
Yeah. So
There is only everything.
yeah.
And so everything that appears to be is nothing appearing to be. So it obviously is real. Can't be real. Real is only something that happens in a story. I am real. I'm a real person and I'm living in a real story. That's a dream. But that is nothing appearing as that. It's not apart. The individual, the seeker, who lives in the experience of being real and everything else being real, is no thing appearing as that. But the real is an appearance.
So how we can notice this what you notice?
Sorry?
Because how we can notice this what you notice and see
No, you
what
can't.
you
No,
perceive?
I don't notice it. It is unknowable. It can't be known, so there isn't anything or anyone who can know it.
So how,
You're back. If you want something known, you're living in it. What you're living in is the experience of me. Me lives in the experience of knowing. This is absolutely beyond that.
so how do you know?
Nothing. I know nothing at all. It's who asked that.
Yeah, but you're saying it with conviction. So how
Oh,
do
no, I'm not saying it. This is nothing speaking, and that's nothing asking. There isn't anything that knows anything,
Yeah.
except the individual.
I understand that, but I'm saying, but how do you know?
I don't know. There is no one that knows. There's nothing.
Okay.
And that is love.
Absolutely, man. The blessed unknown. Absolutely. That's all there is. Blessed unknown.
Tony, one of the problems is that thinking...
Oh, you have a problem.
No, I'm saying that one of the problems is that thinking complicates a whole lot of things.
What complicated?
Thinking.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, it does for me, yeah.
Yeah. So then what happens when, for example, you stop thinking completely, let's say for an hour? Then what experience are you having?
No, are you talking to me? Me would have the experience of not thinking.
Right. So,
Quite straightforward.
so it's still me that's not thinking for an hour.
Well, me wouldn't think for an hour. Actually, me doesn't think in deep sleep every night. That's shame, isn't it? The idea that there is something or isn't something is irrelevant, really. All the time the me is there, he experiences thinking, feeling and everything else as real. That's the illusion.
Yeah, but from everything you're saying, you're alluding to the fact that me exists.
Only apparently exists. I did say
Yeah.
everything is only an experience. I did just say to this gentleman over here
Yeah.
that all there is that man there. Are you a gentleman? That man that isn't.
Apparently, yes.
All there is no thing, which is also everything. So this is no thing. There is only no thing, and what arises out of no thing is the illusion that this is real. Me.
Yeah. Only nothing exists.
It's nothing meaning.
Yeah. Okay. But obviously, the no thing that exists.
No, it doesn't exist, it just is.
Yeah, it is. Okay. So no thing is, and no thing has the power of perception.
No, not at all.
Because out of no
But no thing can
arises
appear
consciousness.
as a me who thinks or dreams it has the power of perception.
Out of nothing, me arises.
Yeah, no.
And me continues to arise out of nothing.
Absolutely. Everything only arises out of nothing and can appear and believe that it has the
Of
power of
course,
perception.
nothing is something.
Sorry?
Nothing.
Nothing is also something.
It's also
It's
something. And it's also everything.
Nothing isn't something. Nothing is also everything.
Everything.
But within that everything can arise the idea that there's also something.
And
That's the
that
illusion.
comes back to the question I asked you earlier. Since nothing is something, and nothing is everything.
No, hold on. I didn't say nothing is something. I said nothing
You
is
just said-
everything. And within that, and within the everything, can arise the concept of there being something. It's in the dream world.
So nothing is everything.
Simultaneously.
Simultaneously.
That's why I've done
And out of nothing arises me.
Sorry?
Out of nothing arises me, which is the dream. The
Unfortunately.
dreamer.
No, it's everything.
But nothing doesn't experience anything.
Nothing is everything, and within everything there seems to be experience, which is what the me has. The me lives in the world of experience. I experience you being over there, I experience me being here,
Yeah.
over this being real.
Yeah. What you're saying is similar to what Krishna says.
Oh,
Who's
who's Krishna? Who's Krishna? Who's Bill Wallace? I'm not interested in who said something. This is what's happening.
So Tony, this is it, this is what is, it's happening. And apparently. Leaves no questions, because every question is it, every question is the answer, appearing in the words, every...
Absolutely. That's why this is simply an illumination. That's why people ask questions, and somehow those questions are illuminated in a different sort of way. But that's a fairly superficial part of what's going on.
Yeah, the only questions that could be asked are intellectual questions for the mind to understand something, rather than...
Yeah,
and even in those questions, that happening of that question is the answer.
Well, it's the answer. It wouldn't necessarily be the answer to the question you want.
No,
but certainly. But don't forget, understanding is not it. Understanding is simply seeing a different way, possibly seeing a different concept or belief about life or the ability of life
because
than
we
was
can only
there before.
understand in concepts.
Right?
So we can only understand in concept, therefore...
Yeah, well, there can be a level of understanding that can go on, but that's, in terms of what's going on here, that's a fairly superficial thing that can happen. And to some extent, a fixed understanding about who you are and what you are can loosen.
Yes, yeah.
But there's something else going on here that's absolutely beyond comprehension.
Yeah, and that is in every single word that we speak.
No, it's not only, the words are just vehicles for something else. They're just vehicles. And what is beyond words is unknown.
Because it really resonates when you talk about it's the biggest thing in the room.
Well, it's not only the biggest, but it's also the only thing in the room, actually. So people, they talk about meditation, doing this and doing that exercise. Actually, what's amazing is that where they are and what they are is what they're longing for.
Yeah.
There's no need for anybody to move a little finger or have a different idea.
Right. Yeah.
That's the stunning thing about this. It already is all there is.
Yeah.
Not part, but all.
Yeah. It's just constantly overlooked as you
Well, it has to be constantly overlooked because the me wants to survive. So it creates its teachings and meditations and all sorts of other things to keep itself going on the go. Karma, reincarnation, stories. It can't bear the idea. It can't bear the idea that all there is this. It's too ordinary. It's too simple. It's terrible.
And that it can't know it as well.
No.
It has to know, or try to know, one or the other.
Yeah, absolutely.
It can't do unknown.
Yeah, it wants to know what I'm talking about. But it also is convinced that I must know it. Because it's convinced that there is an I in it. Because I'm an I, Tony Parsons is an I, and he must know something. So we'll dig it out of him one way or another.
So Tony, when you say what's going on in this room, you can sort of hear that as there's something special going on in this room because it's this kind of meeting.
No.
You're saying it's just like anything else.
No, anyway, go outside and it's going on there. I mean, where you run or go to, you could even go to a Buddhist temple and it's all going on there, despite what people think there is going on.
Despite all the mindfulness. I mean, don't you think the mind is given a bit of a bad deal in all this? Though?
Yeah,
the mind just is, isn't it, really?
I know,
it's just
but
being, and it's thinking,
it.
and it's doing its thing. Is that so very kind of... It's not getting in the way that much, is it? I mean, it's all the brain anyway,
no, but it's running the me. The me.
Yeah.
It feeds it and it feeds the me.
True.
That's all right, there's nothing wrong with it. It's no thing arising, it's that activity. There's also no thing arising as this activity.
Just repeat that again, sorry, I was off somewhere. Arising, and this moment gone. It's just arising in nothingness.
Apparently.
Yeah. It comes from nothingness.
It is nothing.
It is nothing, thank God.
There is no God, so thanks.
Thanks for nothing.
Thank you, nothing, yeah.
Tony, there's no reason for nothing to become something.
No, there's no reason for anything. There's no reason for anything because whatever appears is completely without meaning or purpose.
So it just happens.
And it's timeless. It's not actually happening in terms of time. There is no time.
So if this apparent linear life we live,
well,
this illusion, has everything that's ever happened already happened then?
Absolutely. Was already what is.
So, say the future has already happened and it's
all what is.
It's
it
all
is
what
the
is.
timeless beingness.
Wow.
So nobody has ever done anything. That's amazing. Because there is nobody.
But the seeker will just keep on looking until it's blue in the face.
Yeah.
Until we come here.
Well, even then they go on. Don't worry. A lot of people will walk out of this room and go on looking.
You mentioned earlier on that animals are not able to have
They don't have a sophisticated enough brain to abstract a sense of individual.
of me, right?
Separate.
So then, what are they doing?
Oh, wouldn't you like to know? What they're doing is being.
They're being.
Look out, look, see that tree there? That's being.
Yeah.
And there are people in here trying to get there. But the tree is just sitting out there and couldn't care fucking less about it. Talking about what that is. It just is true.
tree.
Everything is being, except strangely, for no reason at all, the human being. And not all the human beings, of course, but people in this room who aren't people anymore. So not all human beings are separate. But once that whole illusion of separation goes, there isn't an individual anymore. It just is.
So when you get the sense of being an individual,
Sorry?
when you said a child gets the idea that it's an individual, is this something physically changed in your body?
No, only energetically at first. It does affect the physics of the body after a while, because directly the sense of being a separate individual arises, then what arises is with it also is a sort of built-in threatening feeling of being in a threatening world. So the contraction brings a sort of contraction in the body, which is then affected.
Yeah, but what causes that contraction?
Nothing, just being contracted and separate. Which is no thing arising as being apparently contracted and separate.
Well, I was thinking like, a lot of people have problems with the pineal gland, calcifying up. It's got nothing to do with that.
Well, it can do, yes. I know about the pineal gland, and it can calcify up, and a lot of other funny, nasty, what would be called nasty things can happen in that tension. Directly, individuality arises as the beginning of a tension. Tension, not a tension. Fear. The world is out there, it's real, and it's separate to me, and it's threatening. So all sorts of things can happen to the body.
Well, I was trying to think beyond that if you were trying to awaken out of the dream that you're a separate individual, then something has to change within you.
Well, nothing has to change because there is only oneness. But what within the oneness arises the idea of two-ness. And that two-ness brings separation and all sorts of other things that happen to, like illness and neurosis.
I mean, this has happened to a number of people, hasn't it?
7.2 billion. 7.2 billion.
So when this change of the contraction of the energy happened when we was or whatever 1 year old, how we can reverse it?
Only apparently.
Apparently, so how we can reverse it? This
How can
contraction. Reverse the
Well, you
contraction.
can't, how have you been here? You can't reverse it because you are separation. You can't reverse separation if you are already separation. You would die. If you died, then there would be nothing that would be separate, but the greatest for the separate me to kill itself or to get rid of itself. That's what it's trying to do all the time. It's trying, from the point of view of being separate, because it sees its own separation as another something that it can transform. That's the dilemma. It can't. Because actually the dilemma of separation is not real.
But you said that you're no longer me.
That's got nothing to do with anybody doing anything. It was simply that whole sense of me being real fell away. But only apparently. And when it fell away, listen to this, when it fell away, there was a sudden recognition that there never was a me.
Yeah. Perhaps that's what he's asking. I'm not sure.
Well, I'm telling him that I didn't do anything to bring that about, obviously, because if I had done something to bring it about, I would still be here saying I've now done something that I thought about.
Right. So
If I put my right
just
finger
happened to you.
in my left ear and sang Beethoven's piano tune backwards, standing on my head. I'm saying nothing was done because nothing happened. Nothing was done because nothing happened, nothing needed to happen because there never was me.
Okay.
And we can have tea.
self-recognition you spoke about before the break, that was only an apparent recognition.
And there's only apparent.
That means there's nothing but the apparent. Can you say like that? There's nothing but the apparent?
There's nothing bad.
Nothing but the apparent. It's like nothing big, nothing else than the apparent.
No. I think I know what you mean.
Nothing but the apparent.
There's nothing but the apparent. There's nothing real, except in the dream of me. Me dreams that it is real. That's the dilemma. That's the great illusion. I am real and the world is real. And the story is real. And liberation is real. And seeking is real. And the path is real. And so on.
So when you say, I am that, what does that mean?
You're reading I am that. I forgive you. It'll take a few years. Sorry. What was the question?
I am that.
I am that is something that I think one of the I've forgotten his name. Yeah, Advaita-Vedanta wrote a book called I Am That. I bought it for 25p. I did in a second-hand market in Shaftesbury, and it's a teaching, so it has no connection with such. There isn't anybody to be that. There's no I to be that. All there is what is, and is not.
But his last book, he retracted what he said.
In his last book on page 168, when he was dying, he made a statement which is this. But I don't know how much that meant. It's true, interesting. But if you read I Am That, you could almost pick up any page in I Am That, almost, and it will give you it'll teach you a process. It's a teaching.
Now, what about love? Because you were saying it for some time, and you hardly ever use that particular way of saying it.
Only because we do talk about love here, and as far as I'm concerned, the love that me calls love is actually a need. Because
what's that? Sorry, I missed that last piece.
It's the love that me speaks about as love is not love, it's a need.
A need?
Need, N-E-E-D. Because directly the separation happens, then the individual and me is always looking for something, right from an early age, because it's lost something, because it's now become separate. It's always constantly looking, so it's in constant need. And as it grows up, it interprets what it thinks of as love as a deal, actually.
A deal?
Yeah. If I love you, will you love me? It's a conditional love.
I wasn't thinking about that.
I'm just trying to say what I usually say. What I usually say at meetings is that that's the way me experiences love. It's not love, it's a need. The only love there is unconditional love, which can't be talked about or known. That's why we hardly ever talk about it. But unconditional love is the same as far as I'm concerned as everything and nothing, as what is, as being. It's all. We're sitting in unconditional love. But it's not the sort of love that the me would think of, like soft and cuddly and pink and all that. It's a love that absolutely embraces terror and ugliness, and is terror and ugliness. So it's unknown.
I just want to get into something about being frightened. Yes. That's
Yeah, we are. Me is fine.
again.
Me is fine.
Yeah. But those two things come into my life very clearly, and like one of love that isn't, and the other piece, this is a moment, I can get very frightened. I live on my own, and it's,
But all the time you feel that you are separate, then you will be frightened a lot of the time, and you can't know unconditional love. It can't be known.
it can't be known.
It can't be known, but you are what that is, and everything is unconditional
It
love.
just happens, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It happens when you're not there, but it also embraces the fact that you are there.
Yes.
It doesn't deny.
That's interesting. Thank you.
I mean, you could say, I'm just going to play devil's advocate, that you could say that I am that is true in the sense that the sense of I is also that which is everything.
You could, but it's so confusing and I can't be bothered really.
I never read it.
Just to pick up on what that guy said, different apparent people, or people where the sense of the self has fallen away, like Nisargadatta for instance, everybody uses different language, don't they, to say what you're saying.
I don't, well, what I'm saying is hardly ever found anywhere. It's very rare. It's not me saying it. But I find that, for instance, the way Nisargadatta talked about what may have or may not have happened to him was still in the story. The way he talked about it, the very term "I am that" is kind of absolute contradiction of what we're talking about here.
Yeah, but like this guy, I think what he was touching on, what I would say anyway is Nisargadatta was just using words like "I am that," because what you're trying to express is it can't be expressed anyway. So different people where the self has fallen away will use different terminology.
If you think that, that's fine. As far as I'm concerned, it's not. This
But
can't
that's
say the idea that somebody can say "I am that" is still, for me, something to do with the dream. Even the word "I" can't be included in this because there is no I, and there is only everything. There isn't an I. I can't say "I am everything" because it simply would be a contradiction.
Yeah.
There is everything, and within that everything, as I said, there's boundless energy, but contracted energy can arise in which somebody can claim to be an I. But directly that illusion has dropped away, there wouldn't then be the use of words like "I am that." It just doesn't happen. It's complete contradiction. I, who's I? Am that.
But even what you're saying, or what no thing is saying, is still being expressed through a body and mind, which is expressing an opinion about someone else whose self has fallen away. So isn't that dualism?
I don't know. I have no idea whether he did or not. The way he spoke, as far as I'm concerned, he was definitely still very firmly in the dream, from what I read of his communication. There is nobody that's in the dream or isn't, but you can tell by the communication that's made whether somebody's coming from the story or a dream or that which is beyond expression.
Do you know of anybody else that's come to the same conclusion?
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Nothing matters.
Do you know of anybody else that's come to the same conclusion that you have?
Sorry?
Do you know of anybody else that has come to the same conclusion that he has?
Not using those words. It's a contradiction of what we're talking about. I. The very use of the word I confirms that somebody believes there's an I there.
No, but there are lots of people who have not used the word I. When questioned, who are you?
Oh, I thought,
they say awareness, for example.
well, then if it's awareness, it's still in the dream.
That's still a dream.
They might just be using the word awareness for what you call being or
how can you use awareness for something called being when awareness means knowing?
But what you're talking about can't be explained anyway with words.
That's got nothing to do with the use of words.
It does, because other people...
Well, what we might as well do is sit here silently and say nothing. Words are used, but for me, the words come out of no thing and don't have any sense that they belong to an I.
They also came out of no thing with the apparent someone called Nisargadatta or Ramana Maharshi.
If that's what you feel, then that's what's happening there. That's fine. You can go on splitting hairs forever.
Well, you're being dualistic in saying that they're talking crap.
I'm saying that if somebody uses the word I, then that comes from the idea that there is an I there that is already that. As far as I'm concerned, that's dualistic. If you don't think it is, that's what's happening there. There's nothing right or wrong with either.
Ramana Maharshi.
Go and argue further.
Ramana Maharshi never used I.
Oh, so the book I Am That was written by Boo Blogs. Ramana Maharshi used a lot of language, which as far as I understand, absolutely confirms being in a dream. Absolutely. The way he talked to these two people who came to him and said, our son has died. What can you tell us about that? And he then said to them, he's now in heaven somewhere, and somehow he's communicating with you. When you die, you'll go to heaven and meet him. Sorry, absolute dualism.
Ramana Maharshi met people at the different levels that they were at.
And that is again coming out of a dualistic dream that somehow you have to have a higher level of understanding to talk about something that's absolutely, completely simple and ordinary. Has nothing to do with intelligence. This has nothing to do with being intelligent or being at a certain level of understanding.
I'm not talking about intelligence.
Well, a level of understanding then. We've already said there can be an understanding at the level of the story about the possibility that what one believes or about one's reality can be unravelled or loosened, but that I've also emphasised that the whole point of this meeting, or the whole strength of it, is that it's energetic. Not absolutely beyond word.
In the falling away of, for me, one of the glimpses or awakenings, in the falling away of the apparent this, there was an exclamation or something arose or recognition of going, oh my God, this is hilarious. I've never been this. I've always been this. So is that not the same as I am that, but it's arising from that oneness itself saying I am that? What?
Not as far as I'm concerned.
No? So what was saying it? Is that so the me?
Well, when you're talking about communication in a glimpse, it's not a glimpse.
Well, the death of the me is gone. That temporary, obviously, it was a temporary thing, and it's gone. So there was a Chico, there was no more, and I thought, oh my God, I can't believe this. I prayed, fasted, and you've always been here. And there was something that arose as to go, but I've never been this. This is absurd to even think that we exist as an apparent world. But something arose in this oneness of the wow at that moment that went, I've always been this, not this.
Well, I'm sorry, that would be your interpretation after. There isn't anything that has a conversation during a glimpse.
But it was just something that arose.
Yeah.
No, it was during that that something arose within it. So who's saying that? Because it wasn't because it wasn't the me, because the me was recognised as a fallacy.
I have no idea. I wasn't there at the time.
Nor was I.
So Tony, you say, so the strength of this meeting, I think you were saying, is energetic. You said the strength of this meeting.
I did about strength.
Oh,
that sounds a bit.
The strength.
But I was saying that there are two levels going on here. One is to talk about the story and the possibility that the belief about being real might unravel. But there's something else that's going on here that is energetic. So.
I think it was what I asked before the break about that's no different to anything that's happening anywhere else.
Oh no!
No, I mean,
of course.
I keep on
but
hearing
in some way or other,
suggesting
when people are together and open to the possibility of there not being anyone, that energy seems to be more palpable. As far as I'm concerned, the whole sense of what happened or didn't happen here, which was the end of the me, was energetic. Not anything to do with understanding.
Mm. And I guess people wouldn't come here if there wasn't already some, for a lot of people,
it's possible, some. There are all sorts of reasons people come here. There is also a sense of something energetic.
Already a recognition of something.
Tony, in the glimpses that I've had and what's happening here, as a description, I could only say that it's like space. There just feels like loads of sort of empty space in the glimpses, and generally that seems to expand. And I relate that to what you're saying as energy.
I mean, space you could use as a word, although I always think you can measure space, whereas this is immeasurable.
Yeah.
That's why I think you say it's expanding.
Yeah. It's like when you say it's the biggest thing going on in the room, or it's shouting at you. It's the space that's.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Because there's a feeling of expansion here and more openness here. But when I go other places, there's contraction. Why is that?
It's just, again, as far as I'm saying, it's all to do just with energy. There's an energy of contraction and expansion. But only apparently.
Is that to do with the feeling though?
It can be sensed. Because a lot of, the me comes something like this, possibly in a contracted state, and being aware of what it sees erroneously as a threatening world. It's possible that in this sort of setting where this is being shared, then that sense of that fear can be absorbed, can just melt away. And then somehow there's a spaciousness as well.
So often when I'm in these meetings, or especially in the retreats, I feel like a lot of love. And it's
but at times, and I agree with you, but there's something about it that's impersonal. It's not sticky. It's not sticky in the way that many would think of as love.
I don't know if what I feel is. I don't know what's impersonal.
No. There's a sort of sense of freedom about it.
Just beauty. And it's not even in understanding, there's no one, because I don't even know what that means.
No. Sounds good.
It might also be out of a misunderstanding that I'm just thinking, just ideas. I'm just thinking that it might even be coming from a misunderstanding that maybe I will get to the point where there's no me, and then I will feel all this, bliss, or all this love.
Yeah. It's fine, except that there isn't a point.
So would you say that the illusion and the sense of me is also part of the whole?
Oh, yeah, it is the whole.
So in a way then, there isn't actually duality, is there?
No, of course not. No. No, seeking and contracted energy is the beloved, is the whole.
Because in seeking we're trying to get somewhere, but that getting somewhere and the sense of the illusion is it. It's not right, it's not wrong, it's just
what's happening. But what's interesting is when it apparently falls away, it's suddenly recognised that there's nothing to fall away because everything is already there.
Yes, yeah. I mean, some people, I've heard it's so gradual, like you're saying, the unravelling, that they don't really know.
No, it's not necessarily recognised as a moment or anything.
Yeah.
Strange, that recognition, because to me it seemed like whenever there's oh, this is it, and then already I'm back in it.
Yeah.
Because then something sees it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because when it's not, and it's just natural and ordinary to how it's happening.
Unassociated, like very within the immediacy of what's happening, that you call it recognition, but you said in the previous question, really, your question was that involuntary noticing, unassociated noticing, involuntary noticing, that is in no way could be sort of linked with the falling of self or anything like it. So
Yeah, I think I should say that again. I don't think I've got it.
What would be the difference between the recognition and the involuntary noticing, associated noticing, which can be a theme? I'm not talking about witnessing or observing, but the unassociated, absolutely involuntary noticing.
But recognition, as far as I'm concerned, doesn't need a me.
But then that innocent noticing doesn't mean me either. It may notice me, or may notice thought, even may notice thought of me, or whatever.
Nothing matters, but the sense of a noticing for me is a noticer. Something noticing something. So there's two things going on.
No matter how unassociated is that.
Well, I wouldn't use the expression myself. I think it's misleading.
Sure. Thank you.
Just as the title or the idea I am that is misleading.
Oh, yeah, sure.
It feels like when me is here, it's a joke. When I go outside, it feels so important again. So it's this transition between...
You could say that. I know what you mean. The energy of here sort of allows the me to float around and be or I and not see it. Whereas directly you leave, the energy can bring that contracted energy seems to come back to me being really important. Yeah. That's what happens.
Tony, I struggle with the word misleading, like as if there can't be a misleading in the wholeness of...
Oh, of course they can. I mean, as far as I can say, there's seeking. Seeking is no thing. And misleading, teaching about seeking is also no thing. They're both, they are what seems to be happening. Don't you get into the idea that one is wrong and the other one isn't? That is again no thing. Nothing wrong, right and wrong can be a no thing. It is no thing. Right and wrong comes out of no thing. But right and wrong also is married to the story of me. Very much married to the story of me. So misleading ideas come out of the story of me. And there's nothing wrong with misleading, but there's nothing wrong also with saying they're misleading. Because, the expression they are misleading is also coming out of that.
Yes. It's kind of in the story then?
For me, teachings which are about a self finding fulfillment is a misleading teaching.
But you could only use misleading in the story of me, because who would you be misleading in the whole?
Well, but we're saying the same thing. I'm sorry, we're going round in circles, actually.
Right, we're saying the same thing. Right.
So a teacher who is still in the dream of me and thinks that they can help other people have a better dream of me, that's what happens. It comes out of nothing. But as far as the whole is concerned, as far as the freedom of wholeness is concerned, the idea that I can become free is misleading.
Right, yes.
There's nothing wrong with it, it's just what happens.
How can you be sure that you're not still me?
Oh no, I can't be sure of anything. I don't know anything at all.
Well, I guess the whole idea is just be the best possible me that you can be.
And very good. Comes out of a Girl Guidebook, I think.
So knowing this, will it help me anyway functioning as a...
Not at all, no. It doesn't help anything at all. This meeting is completely without intention or agenda and is of absolutely no use to the individual at all.
Completely irrelevant.
It recognises the idea of individuality as a dream, as a dualistic dream. That's what it's addressing to some extent. But it leaves the individual seeker with nothing at all.
You say end of suffering.
Sorry?
You said end of suffering.
Of course there's suffering,
Yeah.
and in the dream of me, I suffer. In the boundless reality, there is apparent suffering.
Is it possible that the crowd that come to your meetings is becoming younger?
Yes,
Is it?
especially the women.
And there are more women as well.
There are lots of women. No, usually it's round about 50-50, but it wasn't in Wales, it was 60-40. No, really, I don't know what, it doesn't matter. But there's no question, as far as we're concerned, that when we started 20 years ago, in that time, the audience became younger and younger. I mean, people tell me I'm getting older and older. That's complete bullshit. But as far as I'm concerned, that's obviously what would happen when religion breaks down as it has, largely, especially in the West. And young people are seeing through the whole idea of patriarchal teaching, which has been going on for thousands of years. Young people see through all of that, thou should and thou shouldn't, and so on. And they're looking for something more radical and freedom is I think freedom is a huge thing in the psyche of young people these days. In every way, you see it. You know, the yellow vest in Paris and all the stuff that's going on in the world, not all of it, a lot of it is to do with make me free. Brexit is about freedom. It's never going to work, but it's about freedom. And so I think in the psyche of people there's tendency to be much more open to something that's free, or pointing to freedom, and also young people are ready for anything that's quite radical, that turns the old world on its head.
Because I remember, I have watched a few, not many, but a few old recordings from like maybe 15 years ago, can be. And like most people have white hair.
Yeah, they do. It's awful to have white hair. No, it's true, but when we first started, there's no question at all that nearly all of the people that came to the residentials and so on were all elderly seekers, which was all right. What's wrong with that? It was lovely in its way. It was lovely, but it's radically changed. The other thing that I think is interesting to do with the psyche of people generally is that science is now pointing to what we're talking about here. The science of physics and the science of neuroscience, neurobiology. It's all pointing to what we're talking about here, particle physics. If you go on YouTube and type in particle physics, it's fascinating what's emerging. And of course the greatest thing of all that's emerging, which is really why in scientists, is the absolute discovery that there is such a thing as nothing. That's really, that's thrown the whole of the scientific world on its head. And that, they call nothing dark matter, and there's dark matter and antimatter, and they've also recently discovered something called doesn't matter. So isn't that exciting?
I guess the me wants to know the dark matter and antimatter, but the message really, the non-message message is it really doesn't matter.
What differences or resemblance would you make between deep sleep and this moment?
This is deep sleep.
Yeah?
What did you say? What was the answer?
What's the difference between deep sleep and what's happening here? And I'm saying this is deep sleep. As far as the me is concerned, this is something that's happening, that's meaningful, it's in time, and it's real. But actually, it simply is deep sleep that seems to be moving around and making noises. It's nothing. Deep sleep is nothing. The way we have to, people that are deprived of sleep can go mad because they're not making contact, or there isn't a contact, they don't make it, with nothing, and in deep sleep they're nothing.
Tony, the people who talk about, as they call it in India, so they call it in India, people who talk about samadhi, and they talk about being conscious even whilst they're asleep. So is that all bullshit?
I don't know, it's what it is, it's what's happening. So what? All it is what's happening. This is what this is all about. I did say right at the beginning, this is what's happening. All there is what's happening. There are two, in very simple terms, there are two perspectives, or senses of what's happening. One is the seeker who's in the dream, who thinks what is happening is real, and the other one is in the whole boundlessness. What is happening is simply happening, it has no meaning of any kind at all.
No, because you were talking about...
So somebody who talked in the way that is what's happening. If they say that they can be aware in deep sleep, that's fine, that's what.
Okay, right. So it's not necessarily bullshit.
It's what it is.
Okay. It is what it is.
Are you going to post any new videos or talks on your website?
We're going to put this on YouTube today, and some others maybe. We're not very good at that sort of thing, but we will. I don't think we've got any YouTubes on 2019 yet, but we will have.
Do you ever look through and decide what goes on?
Sorry?
Are you taking part in the editing?
No, we're looking for somebody who would.
Oh, I'm not going to. I put all the wrong bits in it.
I wouldn't have a clue.
Well, technically.
It's not my sort of thing.
But wouldn't you prefer certain things to go in? Or you just like put a whole lot in?
I would prefer all of this to go in.
Yeah.
There's nothing in it that...
Shames of it.
It's lovely, it's gorgeous. We don't film residentials because we think it's probably, if people feel they can come to a residential and not be filmed, we think that's a good idea. And the camera and all that. So in meetings it feels like it's appropriate to do it.
Tony. You know how, this is a good technical question, but you know how you said that there's sort of two levels going on? There's the sort of verbal level and there's an energetic something happening. Have you been told or found that let's say watching or listening to a recording and watching a YouTube video, there's still the energetic level happening? Or
No. I think there can be a sense of it, but it's nowhere near as powerful as being in it.
Right.
Or, no. There's something about them, the YouTubes, that to do a more level of understanding than anything. And there can be a sense, there's a sense of something liberating about the whole energy of all of this, because it's about nothing. So in that way, watching a video can bring that sense of that. But I think, and many people, or quite a few people have said to me, I watch you on YouTube, but it's nothing like being at a meeting.
No escape.
Sorry?
In this room, there's no escape.
No escape. He said he sounds like a prisoner in a cell.
You're the torturer.
The torturer. In Amsterdam, I'm called the Terminator.
And executioner.
The executioner.
I think I escape every time, so.
Sorry?
I think I escape every time.
I'm sure you do.
Tony, would you say that what has been overlooked is the no thing, the emptiness of what is?
Yeah, but I don't know about overlooked. It's the only thing there isn't. It's the loudest thing in the room, but it can't be talked about. There's nothing you can't talk about unknowingly. Or so I can say you can't. You can only talk about it, you're making it into something. You can only talk about, in a way, how it's avoided or how everything, and then of course how everything is that, including seeking.
Yeah.
So there's nothing you can take home from here anyway. It's all useless, all of it. So you don't need to take anything at home, because what you long for is constantly with you anyway. Everything you do, everything you touch, breathe, taste, smell, everything that's happening is the beloved already. It's the constant lover. It never came and it never went away. It's this. It's this. Thank you. Everything you do, everything you touch, breathe, taste, smell, everything that's happening is the beloved already. It's the constant lover. It never came and it never went away. It's this. It's this. It's this.